students of 11th class. Today we are with a new topic in thermodynamics, and today's topic is internal energy. So let us move to our topic, that is internal energy. So today's topic for you is internal energy. Internal energy is designated by capital U, or sometimes it can be represented by capital E. So this is how we represent internal energy of a system or internal energy of a substance, because a substance is basically a system. System, you know, it is a part of the universe which is under observation. Now, let us move to the term internal energy of the system. Suppose we have a system. Suppose we have a system here. This is a system. This system or the substance we know is made up of particles. These are the constituent particles of this system or of this substance. Now, what about these particles? What are these particles? These particles can be atoms, they can be molecules, or they can be ions as well. So these are constituent particles of this system. Suppose this is system A. Now these particles, what do these particles do in this system? These particles may be vibrating. They may be vibrating. And if they vibrate means they vibrate about their mean position. That vibration can be up and down. That can be extreme left to extreme right. So they can vibrate. And if these particles, these atoms, these molecules, or these ions, if they vibrate, then they should have an energy known as vibratory energy. Vibratory energy. Or this is also known as oscillatory energy, because vibration is also known as oscillation. So what we find? We find that our system does have vibratory energy or oscillatory energy. Oscillatory energy. Now, these particles, they may be rotating about the center, and if they are rotating, suppose they are rotating, then they will have rotationary energy. Rotationary. So what is rotationary energy? Rotationary energy is the energy of the particles by virtue of their rotation. So on account of rotation, they will have these particles may have rotationary energy. As a matter of vibration, they will have vibratory or oscillatory energy. Similarly, these particles may always be in motion, suppose. And if they are in motion, they will have one more type of energy, and that energy is known as kinetic energy, because we know kinetic energy of the system is the energy possessed by its particles by virtue of its motion. So if they are in motion, then they will have kinetic energy. Now suppose this system is made up of cations and anions. So there will be attraction between the cations and the anions. and that energy will be known as Coulombic energy or electrostatic energy. Coulombic or electrostatic. This electrostatic energy can also be known as bond energy. So a system may have a bond energy. For example, if this system is sodium chloride, then there is a bond between the sodium and the chlorine, and that bond is ionic bond, so that there is bond energy in the system. If suppose this system is Cl2, that is chlorine, then there will be another bond between this, and that bond will be covalent. So they will have covalent bond. They may have ionic bond. Whatever type of bond they have, then they will have bond energy. So a system may have bond energy. A system may have kinetic energy. A system may have rotationary energy. A system may have vibratory energy. And then there can be so many other types of energy that may be accompanied by this system. So any system may have innumerable types of energy associated with it. The sum total of all the forms of energy, all the forms, whatever type of energy a system has, whatever types of energy it possesses. So the sum total of all the forms of the energy present in the system or associated in the system is known as internal energy. So what is internal energy? It is that the sum total of all the forms of energies associated with the system, is called internal energy. So every system has internal energy associated with it. Every substance has internal energy associated with it. Now, this internal energy of the system, it depends upon two factors. What are those two factors on which our internal energy depends? One is the nature of the substance or the system. Nature of the system, by nature we mean whether that system is in solid state, in liquid state, in gaseous state, whether it is soft, whether it is hard, whether it is porous, what type of system that is the nature, whether that is soluble in a particular solvent, whether it is insoluble in some other particular solvent, that is the nature of the system. So the internal energy of a system depends upon its nature and the conditions of temperature and pressure. That is, under what conditions of temperature and pressure that system exists. So these are two main things. These are two main factors on which the internal energy of a system depends. For example, I can give you an example that how different temperature can lead to different internal energy of the system. Suppose I have 1 mole of water. Let me give you an example. 1 mole of water. If I keep it at a temperature of 280 Kelvin and then I raise the temperature by 10 degree Kelvin, that is its temperature becomes to 290 Kelvin. At these two different temperatures, 1 mole of water will have different internal energy. This is typical example of the fact that at different conditions of temperature, the internal energy of a system differs. Similarly, at different pressure, we may have different that internal energy. And then nature is also one of the factors on which the internal energy of a system depends. So what we conclude from this? We conclude that internal energy of a system depends upon its nature, that is the nature of the system, and then the conditions of temperature and pressure. Now, suppose I have a system reactants. This is the system reactants. Suppose they undergo a chemical reaction and form products. So whether these are reactants or products, they are system. This is a system. Reactant. This is systems. So one system is getting changed to another system. Suppose this is system A, this will be system C, or this B, or this is system R for reactants and P for products. So this is a chemical reaction where reactants are getting changed into products. Now suppose the internal energy of reactants, since I just told you that internal energy is designated by U, so what will be the internal energy of reactant? It will be UR. U, and I shall write R right at its foot. Then similarly, what will be the internal energy of the products? I will designate it by UP. U and P at its bottom, at its foot. Now, since internal energy of reactant is UR and internal energy of product is UP. So what is the change? That means change has taken place. Change in internal energy has taken place. So how much change is there? That change is given by delta V. Delta for change, U for internal energy. Delta V U will be given by UP, that is internal energy of the products minus internal energy of the reactants. This is how we find change in internal energy. This is what is delta U? Delta U is change in internal energy. What is UP? U for internal energy and P for products. Internal energy of products minus internal energy of reactants. Now this delta is positive. When it can be positive, just see here, when UP will be greater than UR. So then delta U will be always positive. Delta U, that is change in internal energy, is positive if internal energy of products is greater than internal energy of reactants. And delta U will be negative if internal energy of products is less than internal energy of reactants, then it will be negative. So this is how we give different signs to delta U, that is change in internal energy. It is given sign positive if UP is greater than UR, and it is given sign negative if UP is less than UR. Now, as far as internal energy of the system is concerned, which we are studying, it must be kept in mind that exact internal energy of a system cannot be determined. Exact internal energy. There is no method. We have no method by which we can determine the exact internal energy of the system. We can't determine it. We have, why? Reason is very simple. Because I just told you, if we have a system, it has certain particles, it has various forms of energy. Now we can't find the exact amount of energy associated with the system. So there is no method, no way of finding the exact internal energy of the system. Now, then how we find delta V, delta U? To resolve this problem, what we do, we carry out the reaction, we carry out the reaction at constant temperature and volume, T and V. Please remember this point. Since I just told you that there is no method to determine exact internal energy of the system. So what we do, how we resolve this problem, how we find delta U, we carry out the reaction at constant temperature and volume. That means delta T should be 0 and delta V means volume, that should be 0. That is no change in temperature and no change in volume, that is at constant temperature and constant volume. Under these conditions we carry out the reaction, and when we carry out the reaction under these conditions, what happens during this reaction? No work is done. No work is done under these conditions. And when no work is done on the system or by the system, on the system or by the system. What does this mean? By the system and on the system? On the system means work is being done on the system. And when we say by the system, that means system is doing some work. So system is undergoing some work. So under these conditions of temperature and volume, that is at constant temperature and volume, no work is done either on the system or by the system. And now the question is how we can determine then delta U by undergoing these conditions. Yes, in this case what happens, the amount of heat exchanged, heat means Q, between the system and the surroundings, between the system and surroundings. When we carry out a reaction under this condition, that is at constant temperature and volume, no work is done either by the system or by the system or on the system. So what happens under these conditions? Under these conditions, the amount of heat exchanged between the system and the surrounding, that gives you the delta U. We can calculate, we can determine delta U by amount of heat exchanged between the system and the surrounding at what? At constant temperature and volume. This is the condition. At constant temperature and volume. So we can determine now delta U. How? Delta U will be equal to QV. QV means heat exchanged at constant temperature and volume. So we can determine delta U. So what we conclude now? We conclude that if we carry out a reaction at constant temperature and volume, what happens? No work is done either by the system or on the system. So under these conditions, the heat exchanged between the system and the surroundings gives us the change in internal energy. Now, this change in internal energy is also designated by delta E. So, delta E is equal to QV. This is another expression for change in internal energy. So, change in internal energy is what? The amount, I can write like this, change in internal energy is equal to heat exchanged at heat exchanged between the system and the surroundings. Under what conditions? Under constant T and V, that is temperature and volume. So this is all for today. This is internal energy. Next time we will be taking another topic in thermodynamics. Thank you very much.